new song in my head. We know it's going to be on the Scream 6 soundtrack. I saw the trailer where Ghostface calls you. Did you at least get this? Is the song done?
I think it's not about it being done. It's about it being up to Ghostface quality standards. I think that's what I'm being told. And you're making me so nervous.
Are you, is there going to be like a surprise Mike Shinoda cameo in this movie? Like, are you going to be in a bush?
No. I don't have a cameo in the movie. I did not have a cameo in the movie, but I had a
that
cameo in
should've
the
been in
Demi
your
Lovato
contract.
video. Okay. So I have 2 songs in the movie. I have opening credits is my solo song. The closing credits is the Demi song that I produced and wrote with her and Laura Veltz. So what happened was they came, Scream, production team came to me and said, we'd love for you to be involved, and one thing led to another. I played them a few demos, and I think originally we were just basically talking about one song, and I played them a few things, and they're like, is there any way we could do 2 songs? Because we really like this. We really like both of these. So that was a huge ask. That was a huge blessing. I'm like really, grateful for that. So I did the song, which is out right now, called Still Alive. It's a Demi Lovato track. And that came out like a week ago. And now my solo song, which is called In My Head, is out this week with the release of the movie. I'm so excited. It's great.
Do you get like, how does that process happen? Like, do they call you and say, hey, we're going to make Scream 6. We want you to do it. Or do they send you the movie? You get clips, or are you just like going
in this
blind?
In this case, we did all of those things. Like it started with a conversation. It started with like, I had already coincidentally, I had already had a meeting with Demi on my calendar. Like we were supposed to meet. And then I saw a rough cut of the movie with them, not her, but with the movie team. And that's where I kind of I vibed on. They didn't have any music in the movie yet. So I kind of vibed on what that was and pulled a couple things that I had written recently. I wrote a couple things. And I think in my head, no, I think both of these songs actually were ones that I had written specifically after I'd seen the movie, and then I had written them. But I was already thinking, whenever I do a song for a project, a TV or a film project, it's got to exist on its own as a song. It can't be, I always tell people I would never be the one to write the Ghostbusters song, where the lyrics are and then Ghostface did this and Scream. And that would be the worst. I could never be that guy. And God bless those people that can do that, because that's a whole talent and skill on its own, but it's just not mine.
I would have had it in your contract where you're like, okay, I'm going to write these songs, but I have to be in the movie. I need a cameo. You're the one that gets hung by a tree.
I think at the point at which we'd started talking, they were already rapping they were already a rap.
That's not fair. Well, maybe next time, because I'm sure there's going to be more after this.
I'm not an actor. I'm the worst. Look at my TikToks. I'm the world's worst.
You're great.
The fans love it because
you're the Twitch king. First of all, you're one of the first artists that ever started doing anything on Twitch. You're perfect for it.
I appreciate that, but we in our the little, on whatever, Twitter, on Discord, wherever we talk. Yeah. It is I think part of the draw of me doing these little videos online is that I am terrible at it. And then that's the whole point that's the reason you watch it, is it is not, I am so bad.
No, you're not. Okay, I have to talk about Lost really quick. The new track we got, which is an old track, but did you have any idea when you guys, I'm sure you knew you were going to release this eventually with Meteor's anniversary, but did you know it was going to be so big, debuting at #1?
No. When we were talking, when the idea came up about doing a 20th anniversary release of Meteora, which is, as you know, our second album from 20 years ago, it was we made all these demos as we were finishing the demos started as we were wrapping up the touring from Hybrid Theory. So we started on the road in the bus. I had we converted the whole back lounge of the bus into a little studio. and started making demos. And I'm like the band's like in-house producer. So I was back there every day. And then I think as we got into the point where we were really like finishing the album and everything, we knew we wanted to have 12 songs and we had 20 something. And so the line had to be drawn somewhere. And the first song, the 13th song was Lost.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them down the line. So like beginning of next month, in about a month, I think April 7th, that 20th anniversary of Meteora comes out, and fans will get to hear all those other demos too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, there's vocals, there's like, rapping, singing, like they are Meteora era rock songs or Linkin Park songs, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, it was definitely like, I knew they were of a quality that I'd be happy to release. Like I thought they were good enough for people to hear them. It just, at the time we were like, oh yeah, we'll do something with these later. And then it just never happened. Like by the time we got to Minutes to Midnight, which is our third album, by the time we got there, we wanted to reinvent the band and we didn't want to look backward at all. So all this stuff just stayed on hard drives basically.
So it's funny because now that we get this Linkin Park song that's new to us, it made me okay, you're going to laugh, but so years ago I would joke and say that I would pay money for a light bulb Kurt Cobain concert. Like this was when, Dio was doing a hologram show. Tupac had a hologram. It was hologram. And I always joked on the radio. I'm like, I would pay a good ticket for Nirvana to do I call it light bulb Kurt Cobain, where he'd be the hologram, right?
Yeah, the hologram Kurt Cobain.
So I always joke about that. I'm like, let me make calls. Let me call Dave. So now with this in our face, I'm like, man, I said it the other day on the radio and I was like, I'm just saying I would pay for a light bulb Chester Bennington concert. I'm just saying, like, could you imagine Linkin Park
creepy? I'm like, even if we weren't talking about us, like if we weren't talking about Chester, that would be very sensitive, right? That's a very sensitive subject. And we would have our feelings about how we would represent that. For me, that's a clear no. Like I'm not into that. But even as a viewer of like, just a fan of another band, like I've heard ABBA, for example, they're doing a hologram show and they're still alive. So then you get to like have an opinion about it based on like, okay, there's, they're all still here.
Absolutely.
And yet they want to do it this way because they want to transport you back to that moment in time where those songs were new and it was the, whatever era it was. I get that. I see that. I'm not positive, even under those circumstances.
I'm
not positive I personally would buy a ticket to the show, but it sounds like you would. So that's fine.
Look,
the problem with the internet now is that everybody thinks that everything is for everybody. And what I mean is like, everyone feels like they need to chime in and like, well, here's my opinion. This is what I have to say. And like, if it's not for me, then like, if I don't like it, then nobody should like it. That's not the way the world works. If you like a thing and I don't like the thing, then you go see the thing. You go buy the thing. So please enjoy your only problem with that is that we're not doing the hologram show.
No. It's made like I miss the band. I miss the ability for us to do any sort of buzz show and have you guys there. And and I say this, you say how sensitive it is. And I want to ask you this question, and it could be brief. And I only want to ask you because I know when you answer it, you're gonna probably help thousands and thousands of people. Okay. And you're making me nervous now with the face you're making. But it's a simple question. Everyone goes on a grief journey. And I've had a ton of loss. And I always say when I feel like it's a little appendage that I've grown and it's just there. Sometimes it's there more than most days. It's something new that you live with. And the one thing I always loved about Linkin Park, you personally, Chester, you guys dropped the veil for your fans and you were always very transparent, and it's always helped them in so many aspects of their life and any life journeys. And we hear it, playing your music. The fans tell us they're in tears talking about, how emotional going through the grief journey in regards to Chester. What's been the things to help you take steps forward? And I say that lightly. Like I say, no. That's a great question. So I had a lot of experience
you know, dealing with this, talking about this, lots of, I mean, I've, you know, I did a whole album and tour at the time because I wanted to be transparent and allow for a space for all of our fans to commune. Like the whole reason I did there was an album I did called Post Traumatic, and the whole reason I did it and went on tour was that people needed some kind of like place to go. Like we needed, a lot of people needed closure. A lot of people just needed to see one of us in person to know we still existed. It's a weird thing to think, but like they got a lot. I heard every single night that that's something that people got out of it, is like, yeah, you're still here. I'm seeing you there gives me hope to still be here. Right. That's an important thing. So with that said, like interpersonal, like reaching out to people is important. That's a thing you can do. Whether it's you're the one grieving or whether you're the one in the community with somebody else who's grieving. So connecting with people is important. The other thing is, like, I wouldn't underestimate the power of creative things. So art therapy is real. And whether that's just doodling or drawing or painting or making music or just learning to play an instrument, like there's I forget what the name of that one, there's this therapy exercise having to do with left and right brain, and people will do it while, some people will use it while like repeating or retreading certain events, and they'll do left and right lights or left and right sounds or left and right tapping. I think it's Imago maybe is the name of it. The physicality of like drawing and painting is not far off from that. It's not far off from actual like I don't know what you would call them, like psychological, like professional tools that psychologists and therapists will use with people. And so whether you're there yet getting therapy or whatever, or you like can't afford it or whatever, these are things that you actually can do. So all that stuff helped me. I know that was a very like roundabout kind of way, but those. Yeah, those are definitely things I suggest to people. And just to know that like, it's all, you know, no matter how extreme the circumstances of your situation or your grief, it's also at a certain level normal. And it's also at a certain level, like what there's so many people that go through. I can't imagine that there's any way that everyone doesn't go through it in a major way at some point. So you're not alone, right? Like it's a thing that happens. And by the way, just to like jump to now, like one of the reasons why I don't have those conversations that much these days is because I did a lot of those steps, and I feel like I'm in a really good place. I love being able to be like, to put out like a kind of like dark, exciting song like in my head and have it feel really good, because I know that I'm not in the place I was, 4 or 5 years ago.
I love that. Thank you for answering that question.
No problem. I hope that's helpful.
In my head, so we know we're going to get it on the Scream movie. We know you've got that going on. How many other because I know I've got to let you go soon. How many other projects are you working on? I mean, do you have your hand in a bunch of other stuff right now? I imagine people are constantly reaching out to you.
I think it's funny because like the Linkin Park stuff is very contained. Like there's not much I need to do. Like I mixed a couple of the songs that are on the Meteora thing. Like that's about it. I don't need to write or do much, just oversee and art direct and like maybe do a little mixing or like searching on hard drives to find stuff. So the main two things really, with that aside, like the main two things I've been doing are writing and producing for other artists and writing and producing my own stuff recently. Like that's my own stuff, that's like a very recent thing within like a last 6 months. So I'm not, for me, you know, people have asked like, oh, this new song in my head is out. Does that mean you have an album on the way? The answer is actually not no. The answer is actually no at the moment. Right now I'm just making things and enjoying being in the studio, and I'm going to continue to put stuff out. But yeah, regarding like the other part with other people's songs, there's a bunch, we have some things on the that are getting put into the calendar. I'm not sure when they're coming out. The ones that have been coming out, I have a song with Justice Bennett called Everything Is Nothing. I have a song with Swayco called POS, and there's Still Alive by Demi Lovato on the Scream soundtrack. So just a lot of music, just very, very busy.
Well, you have to promise to keep that Twitch channel up. And because, you know,
it's been a minute. It's been a minute. I'm not on that as much these days.
I know you're very busy, but it's I mean, years ago, you started doing that. It was the coolest thing because, you know, you could just sit and you talk to people and you're showing them how to do, you know, all the stuff. I know that it's pretty cool and you're super busy, but
you know what I do these days more than that? I think a lot of that is transferred over to Discord. I'm on Discord quite a bit. So there's a Mike Shinoda channel and a Linkin Park channel. And I probably alternate. I like jump into one day and I'll jump into the other day. And I'm usually just, those are organized as a server. There's like basically a general chat, a general forum. It's just a huge chat room. If you've never used Discord before, you just go in to the Linkin Park Discord and find the general chat, and that's where everybody is. Or at the very least, that's where most people are, and they'll show you around from there.
That's where I think you've always been one of my favorites, because I was like, Mike Shinoda's like the dude you just see hanging out and he'd be like, hey man, you want to hang out? Like, you're so just down to earth and you're one with the people. And I think that's pretty cool of you. You've always been that way. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Thanks for being amazing. In My Head will be out this weekend with the movie. We're excited for it. Next time, you got to be in the movie. You got to pump for the movie. I need a cameo.
I will let them know. Hey, you know, your movie that you guys, you know, are working on and own and control. I'm gonna put myself in it. It's like inviting yourself over to somebody's house.
You're Mike Shinoda. You can probably slide that in there. You're kind of a big deal. I'm just saying.
I'll just show up on set. They'll be like, they're like looking at the script. They're like, who's he? What's he doing?
Done deal. Pretend you're the pizza delivery guy. Just walk on in. You've got the right. Thank you so much for your time. I know you got to move on. We'll be ready for the single and everything else you do. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.